So we need to maybe attract partners that will help in sharing the message, because when you share the message from a technical point of view, you are just saying zinc is important for food production. It doesn't resonate well with the population. So we need to link that importance of zinc and soil and human development, so that then we get that well promoted and say, what is it that we do to promote that as a country? So you need multidisciplinary efforts into that space. It cannot be only agricultural space. You need agriculturists, you need human health, you need educationists and social development practitioners and so forth, and academia and researchers to have a simplified message to talk about this thing, because it affects society, it affects South Africa. That talks to the promotion. So I'm talking to the communication people to say, help us to share this message in a simplified way with your gadgets, Twitters or what. Let's make this fashionable, because this affects our brothers and sisters and our kids and our mothers. I looked around Africa, Sub-Sahara, and just checked on some of these elements that we need so much, and the level of constraints that we have in Sub-Sahara, starting from up there in Africa. It's very scary, because the hectares of land that is very deficient or constrained by some sort of soil degradation that affect the nutrient availability to our people. It's very high. So we need to have programs in Sub-Sahara. If we are saying agriculture has to get the 6% of the GDP, so that then we address some of these things, it has to be looked from a social context before it's observed from economic context, because it's meant to address the survival of humankind. So that then our production systems is based on a foundation of a natural capital that has got capacity with necessary nutrients that will then feed our crops and animals and feed us, so that we have got a healthy population. Because a healthy population leads to healthy growth path of economy of the country and the development of its own people. So the extent of that degradation, which means we have got very limited of our trace elements in our land, it's very high. That affects production, because we will then ask, why do we produce 2 tons of some certain commodities while others are producing 4 tons? Why do we produce 1 or less than 1 while others are producing 6 tons? The answer is just right there. It's what's happened beneath our soil. It's our chemical composition of our soil. So we need to address that. I've already shared this with you. These are the most important elements within agriculture. The primary one, the secondary one, and micronutrients. Not ignoring the quantity that we also need of selenium, the small quantities and the likes that fall into the micronutrients. But within the Global Soil Partnership, we approved the poster 2 years back of how we need to address this message to our politicians and to society. That poster says a lot. I wish I had time to can print it and hang it around here so that you can have it. because if you are far at the back, you may not see that message, which try to sum up your title. Try to sum up elements, their importance to plants and their importance to humankind. So I may not be going to one by one, what do they do and the likes. As I relate that, I'm talking to adults. We are not in 101 chemistry class. So the slides will be available for colleagues so that you can indulge on your own time. The request was also to link this to either the benefits, because I think the benefit, we have been talking more about the benefits, and the toxicity. I have not focused more on that part of toxicity. There is a lot of studies in terms of that. I think with time I will have managed to share that with you. But we've got well-known heavy metals that are used in agriculture that affect. You know, there was a citrus story that we could not export citrus because of high level of cadmium in South Africa. So that comes from over fertilization or, you know, chemical reactions, arsenic, copper. These some of the toxins that happens within agricultural space or coming from pollutions. We do have that in agricultural space. So hence, judicious use of this inorganic substance is very important. And often when combination of limited knowledge, desire to produce high, when they combine an ability to have money to procure these things, people resort to buy all this in big quantities, over-fertilize and the likes, trying to solve a problem in a very skewed way. That will cause high accumulation in our products, but also will leach into our water resources, causing many problems. We know we have prostate issues. They are saying if you take a reasonable amount of zinc, you will delay your prostate, but also you will address your male testicle. It's a very important element that you need. It's a trace element. So we need to share these messages to our male population, to our society, so that then when they buy things, they must understand the ingredients, the content of that. Does it have zinc because I need this? It's very important. That message is not that easily shared sometimes. So we need to have population that understand that. The same to our female colleagues, they need to understand the contribution of iron. But even to anyone in terms of the development of their children. As I said, this is a mixture of everything that I've been talking about. You have got well-known 18 trace elements, both primary, secondary, and micronutrients. This summarizes what the message we want to share as a world within the global soil partnerships of the value of these trace elements to our plants. Agriculturists knows that when you put phosphorus, you know what it's going to do. When you put nitrogen, what it's going to do to your plants. It will enhance growth and the likes. But to a humankind, often that is not known. You can look on what affects your brain up there. That's iron, up on top there. So these elements has been placed in terms of their importance to you as a humankind. And this is a message that we need to simplify and share with society so that then you know if you have to heal yourself, what do you need to do What do you need to do? What does phosphorus do in terms of your internal system, your metabolism? Not only from agriculture that no, we need this threshold to have a good yield, but what does that relate to humankind? I think that's where we are lacking in terms of getting that message to value these three elements. But as I said, I'm not going to provide the lecture. This is an adult interaction whereby we need to share information. This cannot happen in isolation. You need a sustainable environment. So we need agriculture that is practiced sustainably. Sustainably, not depleting these natural resources. We must not overutilize soils. We must enhance soil, both physically. Physically, we minimize disturbance to it. We move away from tillage, so that then the properties, the physical properties, the texture, the structure of the soil, it's maintained and enhanced. Those aeration, it's enhanced. The chemical compositions, as much as adding inorganic substance, but to improve the soil organic matter, so that then the soil can fight itself. Then you've got enough carbon content in the soil. Once you do that, you're improving the soil. Then you'll have biological activities. Then the microbes will survive under that soil. Then you're going to have abundance of these nutrients, because for nutrient cycling, you need all this to function as a whole. Not one, as a whole. And it cannot happen if we overutilize pesticides, we overutilize fertilizers. It will not be a whole system and a functional. Then you're going to have deficiency of some of these elements. If we have deficiency, it means that the society will get less of this from what they get from the fruit or crops or cereals or legumes. Then we are going to have an unhealthy society. And that's what we see. I've got some quotes that I think they are worth to be shared. This is just at the heart of assuming that we will fit and survive with organic agriculture. It's in the balance, because people have made studies. We still need to supplement our soil, because, as I said, we are very nutrient deficient country, and sub-Sahara as a whole. So if we don't supplement that with these elements, we may not necessarily be able to feed you. So we need to do that, as much as we advocate for organic farming. So they are all equally important. So it does not matter whether we have produced this organically or conventionally. We need adequate supply of these macro and micronutrients for our people to survive. But that's a journey. We are heading towards sustainable conservation organic farming. I think that's a journey when the land has been maintained and balanced. But right now, we are not there. We know even the fertilizer rate in our country is very low, or fertilization, or fertilizer application. As I said, some things are repetition for emphasis. Conclusion is meant to emphasize and emphasize. Human nutrients begins in the soil and are passed to the humans through the food chain. And when nutrients are deficient or in excess, the quality of food it's affected, leading to so many things that you all know. So there is an urgent need to improve the status of these macro and micronutrients. Firstly, public awareness, so that then we galvanize support of the decision makers, which are often politicians, to have a space for fiscal support in terms of resources to support work in agriculture, work in improving soils, work in improving food security. But you also need support to have a public health programs that educate from our primary school-going kids to our university and society at large. It's very, very important that because people can then make their own choices based on available information. Yes, I agree that agricultural fertilizers are important, but they do contaminate the soil. The process that is called biomagnification. Hence, we want the judicious use of this. There must be analysis of soil and application based on that analysis. Not the blanket that we know you'll put 50 kilograms per hectare all over and expect to get good results. Not when the soil has been depleted by your action, over tillage, over utilizations, monoculture, and you expect the only solution it will be to put fertilizers. You put these elements as a solution. That is short-sighted, has got far implications to society. We need to improve soil organic matter. That's the starting point of sustainable agriculture. Our carbon content in South Africa is less than 2%. We need to up it to 4% in the eastern, even more than 2% in the interior, because in the interior it's less than that. We need to address that so that then you've got adequate, viable soils that has got nutrients to feed the plants and humankind. Hence, we advocate for conservation agriculture as a priority. We are going to take this policy to cabinet this year. We were just recently cleared by President in terms of what is called socio-economic impact of the policy. So we want to advocate for this so that then we improve our soil carbon content and soil organic matter, because that's the basis of addressing all this nutrient deficiency. Once that is addressed through sustainable practices, then you'll have abundant nutrients to feed the plants. Then you'll have successful farmers that makes money, but we've got available cereals and legumes that are nutrient rich, and our community society will be active. We need to address the widespread degradation, because that affects our farm produce and at the end affect our humankind. You remember I said we've got a movement. Join us in land care. Let's move from the scenario on the left where we are folding our hands, we are sitting right there waiting for the sunshine, hoping that something will happen. That situation will not change itself. We need to move towards the right of myself. It must be left on your side, whereby then we have got active custodianship of natural resources of our land from where we live, in our own household, out there in the community, to ensure that we have got abundance of nutrients for society and food that is adequate, with adequate threshold that we need to survive. I thank you.